Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first rendition of Mediate. Today's Mediate workshop is on social and news media misinformation. Thanks all very much for attending. We're very happy to be here with you virtually. As part of this intro, I'm going to say a little bit about the workshop and then just briefly remind you about the virtual guidelines that we're going to try and adopt. So myself and two colleagues from EPFL, Panayotis Meros and Jeremy Rapa. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
So we co-organized this workshop. I'm not going to say too much about why understanding misinformation and trying to tackle or mitigate it is important. It's obviously a pervasive problem of our time, and we come across it daily, perhaps especially so in recent events, which have become known as the COVID-19 infodemic. Misinformation comes up in politics, in science, in politicized science, etc. It can take on a variety of shapes and forms, some of which very blatant, others very subtle. And it's being worked on by a variety of people across a wide range of disciplines, some of whom are at this workshop today, either as a speaker or a participant. So our workshop is made up of 3 sessions, and it's going to go from around 2 p.m. EDT, so nowish until 5:30 p.m. EDT. For reference, the schedule is both in the calendar invite that you've hopefully all received and on the Mediate website, which if you don't have handy will reappear at the end of these slides alongside a Twitter handle for those of you that are social media inclined. Our first session is on social initiatives against misinformation. And just a note on that, so we found out just before this workshop that unfortunately our first speaker, Rasmus, due to personal circumstance, cannot make it. So we will be starting 20 minutes later than scheduled with Amy Zhang. Our second session is contributed talks from 3 speakers on a variety of topics. And our third session will be made up of 3 invited talks on political and scientific misinformation. And there will be a 20-minute break between each 2 sessions. So if you take a look at our speakers, you'll notice that they include both academics and practitioners, sometimes both in one single person. And they span a lot of different backgrounds that range from computer science, NLP, network science, to communication, journalism, and education. We think that understanding and tackling misinformation, and I'm sure many of you agree, must be a collective multidisciplinary effort, and different people will come at it from different angles. We really hope that through this workshop, we can shed light on at least a few points. So for example, the breadth of interpretations that exist vis-a-vis misinformation, how different people understand it and define it, the breadth of approaches that one can use to try and unpack a given interpretation, potential mitigants that are actually workable on the ground. So the latter part of that is particularly important. And collaboration opportunities, be it between academics or between academics and practitioners. So after the workshop, we're going to produce a summary report with some of the main takeaways that come out of the talks and of the discussions, and we'll be circulating that to all participants and all speakers. And we hope that we'll capture some of the important points and perhaps points of alignment and misalignment that emerge. So I'll just end this with a brief reminder of virtual guidelines. I guess having virtual workshops and conferences and a bunch of other things is new to all of us. So we had a go at kind of, defining some guidelines that will hopefully help smoothen this out. But if not, then let's collectively adapt and bear with us if there are some glitches or awkward moments along the way. So for the audience, we really encourage you to keep your videos on during talks, just so that the speaker can get a I guess, human feel, so that there is an actual audience that is listening. But please mute your mic so that we avoid echo and background noises. For those of you that can't make the whole workshop, please try not to join after a speaker has started or leave before they've ended, just to avoid disruptions. For Q&As, if you have a question, a thought, a comment, you can use the raise your hand functionality on Zoom. To let the session chair know that you have something to say, and they'll tell you unmute your mic and address the audience. If you'd rather not do that, you can also write your question in the chat box, and the session chair will kind of say it to the crowd. We also have a Slack channel on the ICWSM 2020 Slack called Mediate Workshop. So that's another platform that you can use to communicate. And on Zoom itself, if an exchange starts via a Q&A and you want to continue it offline, as it were, you can do it in a private chat box, or you can be assigned to a breakout session with a group of people by letting the Zoom meeting host know, and that's Panayotis in this case, but we'll remind you of that at the start of every break. So as mentioned in our email, we're going to be recording today's talks. The only recordings that will be replayed online are speakers' recordings, not Q&As, and only with speakers' consent. So i.e. they sign the form that we've sent them. If you don't want to appear in a recording, then just please turn your video off. If you have any issues throughout the workshop of whatever kind, don't hesitate to reach out to me, Panayotis, or Jeremy, though I encourage you that if there are technical issues, maybe target your questions to Panayotis. And with that in mind, we look forward to what will hopefully be a very interesting workshop. And I'll just end on the slide that I started with. And yeah, so we'll see you back here at 14:35, is that right? With Amy Zhang. So a bit of a breather, make some coffee, make some tea, and see you back here in a bit.